Hello everyone, back to today's first video. We're going to have a look at the ECMWF 30-day ensembles for today's first video from the Hungarian Met Office. So this is going to take us into August, and we're going to see via the temperature and precipitation anomalies that the model is forecasting for the next month, exactly what could be around the corner for the rest of July and going into August. Remember, all these rise files are very experimental, so they are prone to chopping and change, but it gives you a snapshot, it gives you an idea of what the ECM model is showing in its more extended range for the next month. So I'll get over that for you in a second. Just say that today's second video will be coming up this afternoon, and that's going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. It'll be on the homepage. It'll be your usual week to 10 day look ahead. But we'll begin by having a look at the ECMWF 30-day ensemble. So we can only show you temperature and precipitation with this. We can't show you a 500 millibar high anomaly of mean sea level pressure anomaly. But from the temperature and precipitation anomalies, you do get a rough idea of the kind of pattern the model is going for. So this is the week 1 temperature anomaly chart for Europe, and we can see that still a warm week coming up in the north and northwest of Europe, a hot week on the way, with the peak of the temperatures for Scandinavia, much of Scandinavia going between 3 and 6 degrees above average, but also the UK, particularly England and Wales, again temperature anomalies there either between 1 and 3 or 3 and 6 degrees above average, and a really warm scene across much of France as well. So the heat is in the north and the northwest of Europe, which means that in a line basically from central Germany eastwards down to Italy, we find most sort of central, eastern, and particularly southeastern parts of Europe coming out yet again cooler than average, particularly cool down through the Balkans and going through towards Greece. The western bowl of the Mediterranean is coming out relatively warm in the week ahead. Again, this is taking us from the 9th to the 15th of July. And then we find that Spain and Portugal is, well, it's rather warm over in the sort of eastern part of Spain, but down towards the southwestern part of Spain and through to Portugal, it's relatively cool in those areas. But the basic idea is still that the northwest of Europe gets the warmest of the weather. Precipitation anomalies are looking like that, so very dry in the northwest. Where it's warm, it's generally significantly drier than average, again with the rainfall anomaly. Southern Europe continues to be near normal through the Med, and then we go down into the particularly the east and the southeast of Europe, and we come out rather wetter than average there. So it looks like we've still got low pressure in the east and the southeast. The jet stream looks like it's still going off at there, and then maybe dipping down in that sort of fashion with low pressure around here. And of course all of the high pressure is up in the sort of northwestern part of Europe in the week ahead. And then go through to week 2, and this one takes us from the 16th through to the 22nd of July. And we find, again, very hot scene across much of Scandinavia. Really, really warm scene there. Central parts of Europe also becoming like the centre of the heat, particularly through Germany, becoming really hot in those areas. It's still warmer than average for the UK and Ireland, but a little bit less so compared to the past couple of weeks, and still warm and average really for Spain. The southeast of Europe remains a cooler than average scene there, from southern Italy over the Adriatic into the Balkans, and then down towards Romania and Greece, rather cool there. The central basin of the Mediterranean, so the holiday islands of Ibiza, Mallorca, Minorca, relatively warm in those areas. Spain, most central Spain, and over to Portugal, once again looking rather cool. Precipitation anomalies show a little bit of a change. So the driest conditions are across northern and central parts of Europe. So from Scandinavia through Denmark down to Germany, that's where it looks like the high pressure is. However, it's turning a little bit wetter in the west. So Ireland and the UK sees our precipitation anomalies going more towards average, and for western parts maybe a little bit wetter than average. Haven't seen that on these charts for a very long time. Spain and France also looking average to a little bit wetter than average towards the western areas of those countries. So it does look as though it's turning a little bit more active in terms of the Atlantic. It looks over jet stream coming a little bit further south, a little bit more influence from the jet stream, maybe doing something like that with the flow, with the jet and the ridge is generally centred more towards sort of eastern, or I should say central northeastern parts of Europe, with low pressure in that sort of area. Perhaps it does look a little bit more unsettled for the very far west of Europe in that week 2 period. Then we're through to week 3. This one takes us from the 23rd to 29th of July. Just a really warm scene, actually, across most parts of Europe then. So from Scandinavia, going down towards the Alps and all areas in between, including parts of the UK, generally coming out on the warmer than average side, with temperatures between 1 and 3 degrees above average. So the warm European summer continues, really, or northern European summer, I suppose I should say, continues to the end of July. The cool temperature anomalies in the southeast are lessening, so starting to warm up a little bit down there, looking quite warm again through the central basin of the Med. And Spain and Portugal also starting to turn a little bit less cool, going a little bit closer to average then. Precipitation anomalies look like that. So the signal is weakening, of course, the further out we're going. Generally, most parts of Europe are coming out with kind of like average precipitation. It does look a little bit drier than average still, but it's a weak signal across northern parts of Europe for the UK and Ireland, and then going down to France, Spain and Portugal. Close to average with the rainfall there. Southeastern parts of Europe may be still looking a little bit wetter than average. Just explain that the noise you hear in background is that we've got a building site going on outside front windows, and they're rather noisy on the site today, but we shall persevere. So we go through to week 4. The final week takes us from the 30th of July to the 5th of August, and we find again a warm scene across most parts of Europe, but you'll notice that over time it looks like the warmth is becoming focused more towards eastern and southeastern parts of Europe. So definitely got a warming trend taking place in these areas in the east and the southeast of Europe, where we're starting off this coming week. We're starting off in those areas quite cool. By the end, those areas are warming up quite a bit, and so that leaves things to cool down a bit in the west and the northwest of Europe. So I think the broad theme overall is it starts warm in the north and the west of Europe, and cool in the south and southeast of Europe, and we finish up warming things up in the east and southeast of Europe and starting to cool things down in the north and the west. Precipitation wise, again, it's a weak signal, but I think overall still looks like it could be turning a little bit wetter than average through parts of Sweden and Norway, so Scandinavia. Close to average, or possibly being a bit wetter than average for the UK and Ireland, also around the Bay of Biscay as well. Most other areas are just seeing an average precipitation signal. It's a weakening signal for rainfall as we're going along, but I do think reading between the lines, we're possibly starting to bring in a little bit more influence from the jet stream as we go through to the end of July and through to the early part of August, and possibly starting to shove that high pressure ridge over towards eastern parts of Europe, which explains why it warms up in the east as it starts to cool down in the northwest. So that's how it's looking for the next month. So we're starting off pretty hot and dry across many central, northern and western parts of Europe, cooler and more unsettled in the east and the southeast of Europe. Very gradual. It's a gradual, very subtle change week by week. It does look as though as we go further through July into the start of August, we possibly begin to turn things a little bit cooler, a little bit more unsettled in the north and in the west, where it has been hot and dry through the first part of the summer, and possibly begin to warm things up and dry things out in the south, in the east and the southeast of Europe. I think that is the broad sort of message that's coming through there, reading between the lines. Right, we'll do it all over again next week. And as I said at the start of the video, these are highly experimental models, so they're not to be relied upon. We're looking at the next week to 10 days in today's second video coming up this afternoon. That's with shorter range and more reliable models, if you like. So we'll see what's going to happen in the next week to 10 days for today's second video. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.